and welcome back to The Give and Go. I'm your coach, Reynoso, here with my boy,
Soltero. What's up, y'all?
I feel like I am repeating myself every single week. Liverpool with another remarkable, impressive performance as they dominate Manchester City, a team that has gone head-to-head with them in the past few years and has actually won titles on Liverpool's head. Liverpool gets them back with a massive 2-0 victory at home that just has me buzzing right now because this game gave you everything from a Liverpool fan perspective. Mo Salah, incredible. Arne Slot on the sidelines. Salty Pep Guardiola. You saw the images. We got lots to talk about. Liverpool coming out on top at Anfield 2-0.
Yeah, and it could have been 3-4-0 by the 20th minute, honestly. City doing some desperate defending to keep it as tight as they could, but the first 20-25 minutes, it was all Liverpool, and we've seen that for the last 2 straight months. You're right, bro. We're on repeat at this point. Liverpool are just in insane form right now. They haven't let off whatsoever. Mohamed Salah had a big opportunity in the second half. Actually missed it, but he made up for it by finishing the penalty. Liverpool were deadly off the counterattack. They were deadly on the wings. They were dominant in midfield, retrieving the ball back. I thought Szoboszlai had one of his better performances, but every single week we see another Liverpool player just step up in massive ways. You bring it all together, you get a dominant performance over the quote-unquote next best team in this league. It's 2-0 to Liverpool, and now they're 11 points atop of Manchester City, 9 points clear from both Chelsea and Arsenal.
But what's interesting going into this matchup from the Liverpool perspective is that Konate out for 5 to 6 weeks after enduring an injury that I think was caused by Endrick during his appearance in that Real Madrid game. He's out for more than a month. In comes in Joe Gomez. And what's incredible, man, is that you really didn't feel the absence of Konate. Joe Gomez slots in, had an incredible game alongside Van Dijk, who got his head on so many corner kick opportunities, but just couldn't find the back of the net. He was looking for his goal. And ultimately, you get a great sound Liverpool defensive performance once again because, I mean, I've been thinking about the things you pointed out about Manchester City. What's wrong with them? What's the glaring issues? Obviously, their defense is one of the things that has fallen off completely. But, bro, when it comes to the attack, the wing play is so disappointing, man. And really, we didn't see anything positive until Jeremy Doku came on. But I think that's a sign of how Pep is just kind of rolling the dice on his wingers, hoping for somebody to step up. Jack Grealish got minutes, couldn't do anything either. Savinho got minutes, couldn't really do anything either. And then Matheus Nunes, I think, just isn't the guy for the Manchester City wing play level. Doku had the better game out of all the wingers, but man, it's crazy how crucial that is to Manchester City's offensive success. And the fact that Liverpool ultimately shut it down, I think shut down Manchester City's offense overall.
Yeah, I was thinking this game, when is it going to end for City? When are they going to figure this out? It's now, 6 straight games? Seven straight games now for Pep Guardiola dropping points. And I just think the way that City are playing, I just don't really see it getting better, at least not against the top 10 in the Premier League. I think even like a feisty 8th, 9th, 10th place team could get points against Manchester City. I really do think with how bad the defense has been and how dead the offense has been, I think Pep needs to completely reset. Treat this team as like a completely new set of players, see who's on form and try to accentuate their properties as a player. Because right now Foden's not showing up, right? De Bruyne is still on the bench. He's still not really involved with this team. Jack Grealish is just in and out. Doku is coming back from injury. Maybe it's Savinho. Maybe it's Savinho that you should just be like, all right, guys, like no one else is stepping up. So now we need to play with a Savinho type of offense because what Pep's doing right now, as you said, I don't really see an identity offensively. He's just trying players, see what happens, but it's simply not working. I think he needs to treat this thing as a completely new type of team, completely reset, because they're clearly not the City of old, right? Clearly. So he's got to change something. Maybe they don't try to possess the ball as much. Maybe they try and do some sort of counter-attacking type of football. He's got to completely shake things up, though. I don't think he can continue playing the same way because otherwise he's going to get the same results, which is losing.
Yeah.
So he's got to completely shake things up.
I'm interested to see how City approaches the January transfer window, because I could see them starting to address some of those issues right away instead of waiting until the summer to at least try to be able to compete in the Champions League, because they will be able to go to the further stages in that tournament. I'm interested to see if they're willing to swap out some players or look for replacements. I heard about Zubimendi apparently is getting calls from Manchester City to potentially come in and play that defensive midfield role. But guys like Kyle Walker looks washed.
Yeah.
Gundogan looks washed. Phil Foden, you could say, looks washed when you compare him to how well he played last year. And offensively, I'm not seeing much either. And I think Pep knows it, man, because he's resorting to some funny, cheeky tactics on the sideline, tributing the great moments of Jose Mourinho as he talks shit to his fans. I love it. I love when in the Premier League or just in football, you get players talking trash to other players, coaches talking trash to other coaches, and in this situation, Pep Guardiola talking trash to the Anfield supporters, holding up a 6 in their faces. A really interesting approach here, given the rich history of the Premier League, and something that I feel I must respond to, because he holds up the 6, but Liverpool has 19 titles to their name. And when it comes to the Champions League, we got 6 as well, all right? That's what I'm saying, Pep. If you were Pep, that's all I would say to him. But at the same time, I love it. I really do. I like that he gets egotistic like that. But also, I think it kind of represented this idea of Pep kind of accepting what is going to be Liverpool lifting up the trophy this year.
And then you look at Slot on the other side, and dude, he's just so calm. He's like a king, just watching his people execute his plan to perfection. There's no stress. It's pure confidence on that Liverpool bench. It's ridiculous the contrast that you see. Liverpool's the best team in the world right now, and honestly, now when it comes to Liverpool, I'm just gonna be playing the waiting game now. When are they gonna drop points? I can't tell you. So I'm just gonna go week to week, enjoy Liverpool's football, and see who can maybe get a point from Liverpool. I don't know when it's going to come, but it's brilliant what Liverpool are doing right now. 18 wins out of 20.
Crazy.
18 wins. Not just draws and wins. 18 wins out of 20. Ridiculous start to the season for Arne Slot and Liverpool in general. They're looking unstoppable. Chelsea and Arsenal are doing their best. Both of them winning big this weekend. Actually, Arsenal thrashing West Ham, and honestly Chelsea doing the same thing to Aston Villa. So they're trying to keep in touch with Liverpool. 9 points is a massive gap, honestly, but I will say Chelsea and Arsenal are doing their best right now as well, because they are playing good football. But I just think Liverpool, the way that they've established themselves right now, I don't see them dropping any points, whereas we've seen Arsenal and Chelsea both drop points as well. So
under the tutelage of handsome Humpty Dumpty, Arne Slot will guide us to the title, I believe, because I mentioned before that even if it's a 9-point lead, I do see this game as being a meaningful match in the process of lifting up the trophy. We beat Manchester City. We showed them that we're better on the run that we're already on, having probably one of the best weeks that Liverpool has had in a really long time, defeating Real Madrid at home as well. I just don't see how Liverpool endures these results and then doesn't come out on top at the end of the season, domestically at least. But I agree, Arsenal and Chelsea at the very least will make it interesting, which I like. I like the prospect of what Chelsea and Arsenal propose, and always interested to see just what Manchester City can do for themselves in the current situation that they're in. And it's crazy because week to week I've been reacting to the results. I've been getting excited. I've been getting my hopes up, and for a good while it was looking at Manchester City's results, looking at them in the table and seeing how they're positioned and how that race is going. But now that has basically been decided, at the very least with an 11-point gap, I'm looking at the Premier League points record, brother. That's what I'm looking at now, because we're talking about a team that has only lost 1 game in the Prem, only tied 1 to Arsenal. I am just interested in the factor of we got 25 games left in the season, bro. There's a massive bulk of games left.
So much.
I'm curious to know, at what point do we absolutely run away with the league and build an incredible gap between us and whoever is next? And also, do we continue that form? Do we continue just winning games flat out in hopes of amassing that Premier League point record? Something to keep an eye on, at the very least, from a Liverpool perspective.
Dude, I was actually thinking the same thing watching this game. For me, this Liverpool side is even better than peak Manchester City, because that Manchester City was incredible, but the way they would beat you is they would just slowly break you down. You know, if you gave them the space, yeah, they could score 3-4 goals, but if you gave them a tight affair, they would just slowly break you down with mesmerizing possession. This Liverpool side just kills you. They grab a bat and they just hit you in the head. And it's ridiculous how aggressive this Liverpool side is. This is, I'm not even kidding here, some of the best football I've ever seen in my life. This Liverpool is so fun to watch, and I agree. Like, I do think they can go for a points record. It's why I'm not exaggerating the point. I don't know who can beat them. I cannot tell you any team that could actually match up to Liverpool right now. If Liverpool lock in, they're going to win. They're not going to draw. They're not going to lose. They're going to win. It's ridiculous how good this Liverpool side is.
I think it's proven today with. I thought we were wasteful ultimately today. Like, honestly, we had some incredible opportunities. This should have been 4-0, 5-0. And we still controlled the match completely, win 2-0. And I think it's because our offense, for as good as it's been under Klopp and in our highest moments, I guess it's never been truly matched 1-to-1 with our defense. Although we've always had a great defense. But this year, it feels like both levels, both sectors of the pitch and the midfield too, are 10 out of 10, man. And when I say 10 out of 10, I mean in regards to all of Europe, all of world football, we might have the best midfield. We might have the best defense. We might have the best offense in all of Europe at this moment. And that's why I think we make for just an incredibly complete team that I want to see fulfill silverware, because I just get scared from a Liverpool perspective, knowing how we've had incredible seasons, but those finals come down to one game and, you know, things could go sour. Yeah. But at the moment, I'm very hopeful, very optimistic, and I'm freaking excited.
Dude, this could be like a Napoli situation where, you know, come like February, March, it's like a 20-point lead for Liverpool.
Please give me that, man. Please.
That would be crazy to see in this version of the Premier League. Yes. That'd be nuts.
Please, man. So Liverpool getting a massive victory here, shutting down Manchester City. Something that I love so much about the world of football right now is that while we have all these crazy stories happening over in Europe and over in Asia and Africa, the Americas right now, November, December, loves to decide its winners, man. It really does, with playoffs happening in the MLS, playoffs happening in Liga MX.
Yes, sir.
And then in the highest level of competition, the Copa Sudamericana, deciding its winner last week with Racing Club, and now this week with the biggest competition, the highest quality of football in the Americas. The Copa Libertadores has decided its winner, with Botafogo winning their first Copa Libertadores title in their history in El Monumental in Buenos Aires. The Brazilians go and they conquer as they defeat Atletico Mineiro 3-1 in an absolutely exhilarating game.
This game was brutal for Botafogo fans specifically, bro. They had to endure so much pain and suffering to lift their first Copa Libertadores final. Because in the 30th second, not minutes, seconds, we saw a red card brandished.
Oh, red card. Straight. Direct. Gregore with an absolute mistake, man. Putting his team in trouble, putting his foot up way too high in a dangerous position, and actually making contact with the Atletico Mineiro player's head. Tough, you know, to argue that with the official. The visual just doesn't look good with your bottom of your cleat hitting someone's head. Gets the red card. Tough scenes to endure after that.
Dude, so tough. And the thing is, I really felt for Gregory. It's a final for Botafogo, chance to make history, and literally on the first play of the match, you get sent off. Absolutely ridiculous. I couldn't believe the luck, because that's what this is, man. I don't even put any blame on Gregory here. I actually really feel bad for him, because the ball is actually not that high. I'm going to be honest, I'm actually on his side, bro. Like, if I was in that situation, I definitely would have gone with my boot too. I think the problem is his foot was just fully extended, and the player goes with his head. And of course, it's going to be a red card. I completely agree with the call that the referee made, but I definitely feel for Gregory, because I don't think he made a bad decision. I don't think it was rash on his end to go for it the way that he did, but it is a red card. Very unlucky. And Mineiro, all of a sudden, it's looking like, okay, they're gonna get the Libertadores in the bag. It's done. They just see out this match, get one goal, and boom, you're up a man the entire game. How could this go wrong for Mineiro, bro? How?
Yeah, and I was thinking about how last year so many jokes got thrown at Botafogo for the way that they bottled the Brazilian league and everything that they went through, you know? After seeing what happened within the first minute, I was like, Botafogo's cursed. They're cursed. They're about to go on and lose this game. in a tournament where I felt that they were the clear best team in it, they're going to go on and lose it off of just a mistake from Gregory. And it's going to be brutal to endure for Botafogo fans and for people who want the best teams to win in these competitions. So that was my way of thinking as well. I was very, very scared, but also aware that having watched the previous games that Atletico Mineiro has performed in this tournament, there is a missing piece. There is a missing factor that maybe, just maybe, could have gotten exposed, regardless of them being up a man, could have gotten exposed in this final. And thankfully, the Copa Libertadores gods exposed it, man.
Yeah, this was my first time fully seeing Mineiro play this season, because I've been mainly watching this with Americana. But bro, how did they get to this final, man?
I can't tell you.
How did they get here? I don't understand it. Similar vibes to where Racing were clearly the better side against Cruzeiro. Even though Botafogo were down a man, they were able to go up 2-0.
Yep.
2-0. And when you look at both goals, stupid defensive mistakes from Mineiro's perspective, bro. Really, really bad defending on that first goal. It's decent play down the left-hand side. There are four Mineiro players in the box just kind of ball watching.
Oh, 100%.
The ball finds its way to Luis Enrique, pounces on the loose ball. He does a brilliant finish to put it up 1-0. But Mineiro, just defend. Look at your man. Understand that Enrique is open. It was such bad defending. And then the second goal, terrible communication between the defender and his goalkeeper.
Yeah.
Trying to shield it. Enrique does very well to get in front, causes contact, causes the penalty. Alex Diaz steps up, puts it up 2-0. But the defense of Mineiro, bro, it was rudimentary. Really, really bad mistakes here.
No, 100%. Those mistakes, especially that second goal, was fully on the defender, not communicating with the goalkeeper and just letting the ball go past him. Luis Enrique shows that he wants the ball more, touches it, draws the penalty. And I was surprised to see Alex Diaz step up, man. Like, when you've got killers up front, Igor Jesus, Luis Enrique, Almada, I was surprised that the fullback, Alex Diaz, stepped up. And I actually got nervous for him in that situation because it was a big, big moment. You have to score this penalty if you're down a man, and thankfully he did. And you just saw the scenes immediately. Botafogo celebrating. It was an absolute party to basically end the first half. But then what ensued was essentially the perfect start for Atletico Mineiro, as Edu Vargas gets a goal off of a Hulk assist on a corner. Beautiful header, unstoppable, makes it 2-1 after what had been a terrible offensive showing for Atletico Mineiro in that first half.
Yeah, and it was really early into the second half too, and you were thinking, okay, this is where they lose the game. This is where Botafogo are down a man. They're going to get tired. They're not going to get on the ball as much. They're not going to be able to counter and hit back at Mineiro, and that is what happened. The ball was all in Mineiro's possession for the rest of the second half, but they couldn't do anything. They couldn't do it, and this is where we have to really credit Botafogo, because I think ultimately, if you want to look at the general 90 minutes, they simply wanted it more. That's what this came down to it for me. Mineiro, the chance was there for them from the 30th second to take another Copa Libertadores trophy, but simply put, Botafogo wanted it more. They dug in really, really deep. Mineiro couldn't get anything going with Vargas or Hulk, and Botafogo see this out and actually get a third goal to celebrate at the very end.
Just like the Copa Sudamericana, where we had a close-out dagger, we get one here with Junior Santos showcasing that flair on the side. He had already hinted at it a few minutes before because he juked out some players in a crazy way, gets it in the corner, somehow escapes it, penetrates the box, and tries to swing a ball in that actually gets blocked by Alan Franco, but then falls perfectly in stride for Junior Santos to put the finishing touch into an open net, makes it 3-1. Absolute scenes, bro. Yeah. Absolute scenes, because with this, Botafogo wins the Copa Libertadores and also parallels an important 3-1 result that they had gotten just earlier this week against Palmeiras, where they take the lead in the Brazilian league and they look like the favorite to win that as well. I had mentioned when we previewed Botafogo and when I've seen them play in the Copa Libertadores a few months ago, back in the quarterfinals and round of 16, that the story for Botafogo is one of the best ones right now in all of the Americas, because they're looking for redemption. They're looking for a way to bounce back after what happened in the Brazilian league last year. What better way to redeem yourself than to not just lift the Copa Libertadores, but to get the double and win the domestic title as well. It looks like they're destined to actually do that. What a turnaround. What a story. Botafogo, bro, have done it, lifting the biggest trophy there is to lift in South America.
And only 2 Brazilian teams have ever pulled off the double. Santos have done it twice, and Flamengo recently did it in 2019.
Wow.
That's it. So Botafogo are about to make history. They just have 2 more games left in the Brazilian Campeonato. So good luck to them. They've already done the hard part by winning the Libertadores and beating Palmeiras last week. They just got to see out the league, man. They have it in their bag. Botafogo are about to make history in Brazil. And also with this Copa Libertadores win, they're actually going to play Pachuca next week.
For is it a Club World Cup related or something?
It's the Intercontinental Cup, which is a new tournament that FIFA has started this year. It basically is the Club World Cup. Basically, there's just like slightly less games. So Madrid has a ticket to the final already.
Okay.
So they will just await to see who meets them there. So the winner of Pachuca, Botafogo, will play Al Ahly, and Al Ahly and that winner will play Madrid in the final of the Intercontinental Cup. So it's going to be really interesting.
Yeah.
But yeah, Pachuca, Botafogo is what we have to look forward to next week.
In a week?
In a week.
That's crazy, dude. But not Botafogo, Pachuca, man. How do they feel about this? They consented to this?
They didn't even make the playoffs.
I know, bro. I don't think they need to be involved in this, bro. That might get ugly for them.
It probably will get ugly, but it's going to be interesting because Al Ahly always show up. So if we say Botafogo beat Pachuca, I actually think we'll get a good game Botafogo against Al Ahly.
Dude, that'd be a fun matchup. I'm going Botafogo all the way, though. I love this Botafogo team. And one thing I want to highlight from them that I think was showcased in this game, and that's a big difference maker from what we saw last year, is honestly just the improved defense. They ultimately were leaking goals last year that put them in really tight spots where they ultimately ended up dropping points in. But I was looking at their defenders, man. They made improvements in damn near every single position. Alexander Barbosa, coming from Libertad, having his first season with Botafogo, been their best defender, bro. He's been amazing. Vitinho, I didn't know this was at Burnley last year.
Oh,
he was at Burnley. So they got him as well in the transfer window. Alex Telles was also with Al Nassr last year. They get him in the transfer window. Their goalie was at Real Valladolid, John Victor. They get him in the transfer window. And then I think the pairing center back as well was on loan at Lyon, and they finally got him back. So this whole defensive line is basically 100% revamped.
Wow.
And I think that was showcased in this final where ultimately they relied on their defense and, you know, everybody to step up emotionally, but also on the pitch. And they did, bro. They shut down this Atletico Mineiro side and made it damn near impossible to score and secure themselves the Copa Libertadores. So that's why I'm so big on this Botafogo team, because now not only do they have a fiery offense, they have a really good defense. The best defense in Brazil, you could argue, after winning this tournament, that I think is going to make for a really complete team come Club World Cup time.
Yeah, that'll be awesome to see then. I'm so glad they won this final, bro.
Me too, man.
I am so glad, because that red card, I was like, are you kidding me, man?
I know.
But I'm so glad that it was Mineiro who they played in the final, because I do think Botafogo, you look at their whole journey these last 2 years, completely deserving of it. Not just with the story and the narrative that they have, but as you just pointed out, with the players and personnel that they actually have at their disposal. Yeah. So congratulations to Botafogo. What a big moment for them.
And big moment for the Give and Go boys too, man. Our predictions looking good this year, especially in South America. You mentioned Racing Club, like in the round 16 quarterfinals as your pick. I mentioned Botafogo as the number 1 ranked team. It was in the quarterfinals back in August. Happy to see that actually be fulfilled, man. I really am. And where we also got our predictions right was in the semifinals of the MLS playoffs, my friend.
Yes,
as New York Red Bulls defeat Orlando City 1-0 and LA Galaxy defeats Seattle Sounders 1-0 as well. We're getting an LA Galaxy New York Red Bulls final.
Dude, in both of these games, pretty much went exactly how I thought they would. I knew Orlando would make it tight, especially given that they were at home hosting Red Bulls. But you look at the way Red Bulls have gotten to this stage, I just think they had a little bit more to give. But this game was incredibly tight. No Felipe Carvalho, which I thought was interesting. I couldn't figure out what happened to him. Maybe some sort of card suspension. Not sure why he wasn't involved, but they get a really good goal off a corner kick, a nice big header to put it through 1-0, and they just see it out. They see it out from that moment on. Orlando really couldn't generate anything after going down. Before that goal, though, there was a couple of moments. Facundo Torres had a big chance, man.
He should have scored it.
Should have scored it. But that's why I didn't have Orlando going to the final, because even though they do have exciting players, as I previewed in the analysis before this match, none of them are cold killers. None of them are good finishers. And it showcased itself with Torres and his missed opportunity. But another thing that has really transpired over these playoffs for Red Bulls, man, Carlos Coronel, the goalkeeper for New York.
Yes, sir.
Bro,
yes,
he
sir.
is showing up every single game to the point where he might dictate the result of this upcoming final, man. He's in insane form right now.
I like how impactful goalkeepers can be in the MLS playoffs, bro.
Yeah.
Stefan Fry also did something very similar last week with his performance with Seattle Sounders. Carlos Coronel, man, they're calling him 360p Alisson, right? Because he kind of looks like him, bro.
He
kind of looks like him,
Crazy.
and he plays like Alisson a little bit, man. When he's in between the six, at least in the playoffs, he has been incredible. I didn't even know about him before the playoffs, but now I feel so safe and so secure with him between the sticks. And that save on Facundo Torres, I thought was actually really, really impressive because it was from close range. Shot could have gone either way, and he reacted super quick to just keep New York Red Bulls in the game. He has been incredible so far.
Yeah, and we look to the Western Conference where if you have the Seattle Sounders in a game, you know it's going to be gritty. You know it's going to be physical, man. And it is going to be a chore to play this Seattle team because that is exactly what we saw in LA. Galaxy having some interesting moments in the first 30 minutes, but after that, Seattle really settled down and low-key, I don't want to say dominated the match, but they didn't let Galaxy play their nice fluid football that we've seen up until this point. But even though Seattle were able to kind of quell the Galaxy's offense, I still knew they wouldn't win. Because you look at the way Seattle play, they just can't generate anything, man. They try, though. That's the thing. I cannot fault any of the 11 players or on the bench as well that Schmetzer brings out because they give absolutely everything. But it's just not enough. It's just not enough. Their identity is so conservative. It's so defensive. Obviously, it can work. It got them all the way to a conference finals, but just the way LA had been playing, I knew they were going to figure this out. And you look at the moment that gave them the victory. What a perfect little cheeky ball from Ricky Puig, and there's Jovelic to finish it. A beautiful, brilliant finish. And yeah, LA Galaxy are the better team, and they are now in the MLS Cup final.
Rightful finalists. I also got the same sentiment. I felt that both Orlando City and Seattle Sounders maxed themselves out. Like, this is best case scenario for both of them was losing 1-0 in the semifinals, given what we've seen from their track record. And Seattle Sounders, they just don't have the offensive weapons, man. Like, they really don't have the versatility of LA Galaxy because unfortunately for Seattle, like if they did, bro, this team could actually be super dangerous. They really could, but I think ultimately relying on Jordan Morris to do most of your offensive work is just a really tough ask. And a player like Russ Knight, you need him to be on it 10 out of 10 to have a shot. He had an opportunity in this game, but it wasn't a super clear one. Put it centrally towards the goal. After that, I think LA kind of just took over and knew that they will ultimately get one goal to crack the score. Although you did feel the anxiety in the stadium, man, because they've been accustomed to seeing, you know, just absolute goal fest so far. I like that they got this test, honestly, and that ultimately they were able to overcome it, because what's coming next is a New York Red Bulls team that is also going to make it very gritty. It's also going to make it very tight, but I do think has a slightly weaker defense than Seattle Sounders, so LA Galaxy will be able to expose them and defeat them with, I think, more ease than they defeated Seattle today. Yeah,
that's it. That's how I see the final going as well. I think New York have a great genuine chance to upset the Galaxy in LA. I really do think they have a good chance. The problem is I do think their defense is just going to be more leaky, and the way that LA Galaxy's facilitating their offense right now, I think they can score against anybody. They proved that by beating the best defense in the league in Seattle tonight. They're definitely going to be able to get at least one, if not two, against Red Bulls. I don't see the Red Bulls scoring more than one. I really don't. So I think best case for New York, they take it to extra time 1-1. But outside of that, I could see LA winning 2-1, maybe even 2-0.
No, and you look at what it took for them to get that result. Orlando City was super impressive, super, and I'm glad that they did it. But the Nealis brothers, dude, they went off in that back line, and then Coronel has to be on his game as well. You need a lot of things to go right for you, especially even like that set piece goal that they got. They took advantage. It was clinical, but I agree. I don't know if I see them scoring multiple goals, and you got to be able to match LA Galaxy when it comes to offensive output to at least have a chance. I see LA Galaxy taking advantage after, 10 years since they last were Western Conference champions. I just think it's their destiny now, man. We've talked about it. I feel it in the air. I see it in the eyes of Ricky Puig, in the eyes of Joseph Paintsil, Gabriel Peck, all these players. They seem to really, really want it, and they have the talent to back it up.
Yeah, they're a dope team, honestly. I've loved watching the Galaxy play over the last 2 months. You could kind of see their chemistry and synergy really build up to this point. I think they are the better team, and it would just be fitting for them to lift the MLS Cup because I do see them as the best team in the MLS. As you said, I do think it's destiny, man. This team is really, really fun. There's so much offensive weapons, and I hope they show out, bro. I hope they show out in front of LA next week.
And is it destiny fulfilled, or is it just a sign of a team being asked when you have a team come back from a 3-0 deficit in Liga MX? But Cruz Azul defeating Tijuana 3-0, la remontada. Is that Cruz Azul fulfilling their destiny, or did Tijuana basically choke this, man?
Dude, this game was crazy. This game was absolutely nuts. Tijuana had so many chances, though. They had so many chances, and they were actually playing brilliant counterattacking football. They would absorb, and then they would catch out Cruz Azul when it was 3-on-2. And they would actually make use of those situations where they had a man advantage, but they couldn't apply the finish. They couldn't do it, man.
At all, bro.
And I just think at the end of the day, Tijuana got in their heads. They should have gotten at least one, and I think 4 goals would have been almost impossible for Cruz Azul. But here's the thing. They didn't score. So Cruz Azul just did what they had to do, get 3 goals, and they did it, bro. That goal, though, right before halftime, Rivero to make it 1-0 at the time, massive, bro. Because I truly don't think they would have scored 3 in the second half. They barely got that third one.
No, that first one changed the momentum completely. It woke the stadium up. They go into halftime feeling much better, bro. A 2-0 deficit is way better than 3-0. And then they just came out the gates just firing. They really did. And there was a 20-minute period where you just felt that goal was coming. Tijuana was on the ropes, and it looked like a boxer just nearly about to get knocked out with the way that Cruz Azul was forming these attacks. And then that third goal came. Fireworks in the stadium. I mean, it gets crazy. And now we have a Cruz Azul America semifinal after America takes care of business and shuts down this Toluca side at Nemesio 10, 2-0 once again, 4-0 on aggregate. I just gotta say, man, as a person that picked Toluca to win this tournament, disappointed. I mentioned either I experienced one or two feelings: joy and glory as Toluca overcomes their demons, or that same old pattern of disappointment where they look great in the regular season and then come Liguilla time, a completely different version of themselves.
Yeah, and the thing is, when we look at Cruz Azul America, despite Cruz Azul nearly getting upset by Tijuana, a play-in team, I still think they're going to beat America. I really do. I think, if anything, this is just the perfect wake-up call, because when you look at the way Tijuana played, it was actually really good fluid offense. They found rhythm at the perfect time and nearly caught out Cruz Azul. I think Cruz Azul will tighten up, understand the mistake that they made and got too loose in that away leg. I think they will make sure that doesn't happen against America, because I still don't think America's that good. When we look at this match that they played against Toluca, I think Toluca definitely let themselves down, but ultimately I think America didn't generate that many chances at the end of the day. Marcel Ruiz.
It was an own goal,
It was an own goal, and he actually missed an opportunity earlier in the match where he could have put Toluca just down 1 goal. So I think Toluca have only themselves to blame rather than it being a masterclass from America. So it's just disaster if you're Toluca.
I'm disappointed, but I agree. I'm hearing talks of, America is back. They're the, 2-time champions going for that 3-peat. There is an air of they're going to be tough to knock out. I said that last time, that just the name, the brand, the players on the pitch. I think I heard on the commentary that this is the first game where America had a fully healthy squad the whole year. Okay. So the timing of that is incredible. And so you tell me that, I get a little worried, because then I'm just like, okay, if they can tap into their championship winning ways, now that all the players are there available for them, there's always that chance. But after the performances I saw against Toluca, I'm actually with you on this, in the sense that their counterattacks today weren't that effective, man. They really weren't, man. Brian Rodriguez would take a way too heavy touch, or Sendejas wasn't smart on the ball and would lose it. And they really couldn't generate many opportunities until they broke the deadlock with that own goal after that, Henry Martin scores his goal to make it 2-0, and it's a different ball game. I think Cruz Azul wakes up, just like you said, after this really close call. They get back to playing their regular season football in the playoffs, and we see Cruz Azul trump this America side. So I'm with you as well. But that's going to be an incredible matchup, man.
Yeah, dude.
It really is.
It's going to be a great semifinal.
What we're saying is that Cruz Azul is going to, defeat their rival on the way to the final. Had a La Liga alert come in as Barcelona now drops points in 3 consecutive matches, this time to the mighty and powerful Las Palmas at home, bro. At home. 2-1. Barcelona dropping points. Sound the alarms, because this does concern me, man.
What the hell is going on, man? I think a lot of things have been going wrong for Barcelona. Basically, ever since they destroyed Real Madrid, they've just turned it off. Mm-hmm. Their mentality has gone to shit. These last 2 matches specifically have showed me very concerning habits that they have defensively that are going to easily and continuously get exposed if Hansi Flick doesn't fix it. Just very, very interesting moves in this match specifically, bro, because at no point should you take off Jules Koundé for Hector Fort. Given Fort's recent form, I just thought that was incredibly questionable. It was Fort who ultimately kept Fabio Silva on side and thus giving Las Palmas a 2-1 lead at the time. I just don't think Koundé makes those type of mistakes. This is Hector Fort's 3rd mistake at the back. But another thing for Hansi Flick, dude, he won't let go of this high line.
Yeah, he won't.
He won't let it go.
Yeah.
This is the reason why they lost their last game, because Casado got caught in that high line and he ended up having to foul the player, get a red card. They got caught several times in that last game, and they get caught again in this game to lose the match. Most teams that employ a high line adapt as the game goes on, but it seems like Flick is dying by it.
Yeah, I think so.
You can't do I think that's ultimately really poor management. So, a month ago we made a comparison of Arne Slot, Hansi Flick. Low key, I'm embarrassed by that right now, because these last 3 games, honestly, I do think come down to Hansi Flick.
No, that's
just bad management.
That's a good point. I feel like they've become so susceptible on counterattacks. Both goals today were on the counter, and credit to Las Palmas. I mean, actually some pretty good counterattacking football by there. But they knew how to attack Barcelona, because we've seen it be exposed now in consecutive matches. And what I think I'm seeing now is that because they play such a high risk, high reward type game, I feel like finally we're seeing the opposite side of the success they had early on to start the season. It's like when you play roulette at the casino, right? And you say, you know what, I'm going to bet nothing but red. And you get lucky in those first 10 games, nothing but red. Yeah. But then eventually you start to lose 1. You start to lose 2. You start to lose 3. And you start to see that, there was something to be exposed there. Yeah. I think they ultimately played a very tight, high risk, high reward game that ended up benefiting them really well to start the season, because they would complement that with killer offense. Yeah. But now when the offense isn't as deadly, with Lamine Yamal finally getting minutes in this game in the second half, but wasn't there to start the match either, I think it becomes even more susceptible and an even more notable weakness that does beg the question, will Hansi Flick adapt to it? Or is he going to die by this? Because he did reach really high highs so far in this season with that, but the lows are bad, bro. I mean, he's struggling now against Sociedad, against Las Palmas, bro. Las Palmas. Yeah. That's the part that gets me, that truly concerns me, because we were talking about this team as a potential Champions League contender and even La Liga contender. Now both of those things are heavily in question.
Yeah, I'm going to be very intrigued watching Barcelona now for the next couple of games. They got to turn it around. I thought they would have done it by now. So now maybe a bit of that doubt will start to creep into this side. But Lamine Yamal did make his return, right? So maybe he ends up starting that next match. And maybe that's all they need. Maybe he really is like the Odegaard for Barcelona.
Maybe,
like where they just need him on the pitch. And if that's the case, that's crazy. But I understand it.
Yeah. No, and I mean, you're doing all this with Rafinha just out of his fucking mind right now. His form is insane too. Like, don't let that go to waste. And then you did have Balde go off with an injury, and that could be notable too.
That one's tough, man, because I guess Balde is going to be that guy where he's just too unfortunately injured, man. Yeah. This one's really frustrating because he is such an exciting talent in that fullback position. I was actually really upset that he went off injured because at this point, at his age, he has the opportunity to just absolutely go off. But he's got to be healthy. So if you're a Barca fan, this one really hurts.
It really hurts, and it hurts even more because now Real Madrid does have the advantage to take to lead in the table now with the games that they have in hand. We'll have to keep an eye out on their results to see what ends up happening. What's also really interesting is Atleti's not only 2 points behind Barca.
I'll take it, man. I just need more consistent, dependable performances against better opposition. Yeah. That's what I need. Because right now, we're getting all of our results against the literal bottom 3 teams, which I will absolutely take the 3 points.
And both tournaments, man, by the way. Exactly. You face PSG.
So I will take it, bro. But I need us to get these type of convincing performances against, the 3rd, the 4th, the 5th, 6th placers of La Liga. We haven't really done that yet. So we are right there, which is fantastic. But yeah, I still think Atleti have more to prove in La Liga.
What's been y'all's best win this season?
Dang.
Is it 6-0 Sparta Prague? Is it 2-1 PSG? Today was 5-0 Valladolid. Shout out Julian Alvarez.
I think that's the tough part is I can't pinpoint a victory where we really dug in deep and outplayed our opponent. We dug in deep against PSG, but we actually got outplayed.
Yeah, I know completely.
We shouldn't have won that game, but we did, right? Shoot. So we've had really good results, but our performances I do think are lacking when we play against better opposition. So that's why I can't really pinpoint this is where we really popped off. We've had good results, but I just really need us to play a little bit better. But I mean, so far so good.
So good. You'll take the wins, but you're right. If terms of matchups, this is who you have next. Casereno in the Copa del Rey. That doesn't fulfill what you want. Sevilla. Does that fulfill what you want? I don't think so. I want to say so.
Because they're bottom mid.
Yeah, I'd want better. Then you got Slovan Bratislava. It's the easy part of the schedule right now.
Yeah.
Getafe, and then finally Barcelona away from home.
See, that will be the match. Even with Barca's current form, I would still be nervous going into that game because against ball-moving teams, we get really hurt. I mean, we got destroyed against a team like Real Betis, who lost to Valencia literally a week ago. So I'm just really curious to see how Atleti play against better opposition.
And it is now the day after Real Madrid just defeated Getafe 2-0 at home to now bring themselves a point within Barcelona with a game in hand. We had mentioned just a few minutes earlier in this episode that we were curious if Real Madrid could get points here as Barcelona drops points for the 3rd consecutive game. They do. They defeat Getafe in a game that they ultimately should have gotten the 3 points in.
Yeah, and I just need to see more from Madrid. And this is the stark difference between La Liga and Champions League. It's why I'm not stoked about Atletico winning all the time. I just need to see more against better opposition. It's the same thing against Getafe because Madrid go to the Champions League and they're losing. But they go to La Liga and then they win. I need to see genuine competition for Madrid because ultimately when you look at this, I say a soft penalty, in my opinion. I mean, sure, he had some hands over him, but Rudiger's a big guy. He can take contact. I think it's very soft to get it going. Good finish from Mbappe, but I still think Mbappe's off, man. He should have had 3 goals today. He should have had 3 goals. Yeah. He missed a sitter in the second half. And then you look at some combination play that he was combining with Jude Bellingham. He also should have finished some really easy goals in the box. He scored the harder one, but I think Mbappe still needs to do more. This isn't enough. If you're Real Madrid and your eyes are supposed to be on the Champions League, even with Mbappe playing like this, it's not going to be enough. Not even against Liverpool, against other teams, as we've already seen in the Champions League. So yes, a good win for Madrid, but it is against Getafe.
No, yeah, that's really all that can be said. I mean, Mbappe is the leading goal scorer for Real Madrid, I saw, with 9 goals, but you look at his catalog, man. I mean, last week he scored as well. No one talked about it because it was literally a tap-in, right? He's getting these very simple goals where I guess I'll give credit to him for finishing them off, but I need to see a classic Mbappe style goal. I think I've only seen one so far in his Real Madrid tenure where he was from outside the box. I can't remember against who it was, but it was a golazo. And I thought that was the moment where he would shift over to, peak Mbappe, but he just hasn't been able to tap back into that. I agree. I think he's still off, and I still am waiting to see the best version of himself. Just keeping an eye on Real Madrid because they are coming back in the lead. They have done enough to stay in the race, and Barcelona ultimately has disappointed this past month to allow Real Madrid back in. The La Liga race is back on with Atleti kind of in the mix.
Kind of there.